Scare the shit out of me. How cute. She had her doggy in its stroller. Alright, buddy, slow down. There's somebody running. Don't be a dick. Or lady. Sorry. That's why, even though it's a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, it's better to go slower. As long as nobody's behind me. I'm totally ready to just freaking live in my car. Like that dude that I met last night. So last night when I was at the campsite, I put all my stuff at my campsite, but I ended up setting up my car and sleeping in my car. Well, while I was setting up my car, there was another car parked next to me. And the guy seemed like he was, I don't know, he seemed a little sketchy. And then I realized he was setting up his car, which was like, it was a little tiny Suzuki, a hatchback, 4-door. He had a roof rack, and it was all organized, kitchen. He had a small kitchen tote that had a stove and all of his kitchen stuff. And then he had another small one that had all of his food, like non-perishables. And then another one with necessities. And he had it set up really cool. And then inside he had all of his seats laid down and an air mattress in there. And then underneath the air mattress he had it set up with all of his clothes in the space bags. And so that was pretty cool. So he came over and checked out my setup, and he thought that was cool. And then he showed me all of the adventures that he'd been going on. And when I asked him where he was from, he said San Francisco. And then he said he worked at Tesla. And then he said he lived in his car, and he started living in his car 2 weeks ago. And he said he loves it. He said he went ahead and let go of his place because he was traveling so much anyways, and staying in his car. So he thought, you know what? Tesla apparently has like a gym, a cafe, kitchen type thing, everything you could possibly need if you wanted to live in your car. So that's what he does. I thought that was very freaking neat. And so we ended up parking our cars up in the park or regular parking because Manresa Beach, you park in like a parking area and then you take all your stuff down to your campsite. So when we went up to that parking spot and we smoked and chatted, and he told me all of his stories, how he's been all over California. He's from Mexico. He owns a house in Mexico. His family lives there. He's been here for a couple of years, and he sends money home. And he's very spiritual. Like he was very healing. It felt so good to be in his presence. Like his energy was just amazing. Even though the language barrier was a little difficult at times, and that was on my part. But it's like I knew what he was saying, and all of his theories and philosophical stuff and everything that he talked about was like the exact same shit that I've been thinking about the last few months. And it was so neat to hear somebody else say that. And at one point he asked if he could feel my energy. And so he put his hands under my hands about an inch, and his eyes got big, and he said, can I touch you? And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, just your hands. And I said, absolutely. And he said, okay, I'll be right back. And he went to his car, and he came back after a couple of minutes, and I was like, oh my God, this dude's gonna rub something on me that's gonna make me pass out, and something shady and shitty's gonna happen. Yeah, so I was like, fuck. But then we'd been talking the whole time about being in the moment and how our brains, he was talking about how his brain does it, which my brain is totally on par with his. It never stops. It just goes in every which direction, and it makes you so tired, and it's so frustrating and confusing, and it sometimes gets to the point where it's painful. And so he was explaining how being in nature just stops your brain, and it totally does. Well, I let him do it. And he started with just putting his hands close to mine, and I could feel it. It wasn't just the warmth, and it wasn't me being crazy, I swear. And so then his hands, after a few minutes, got even closer, and then to the point where they were touching mine. And then, he slowly increased pressure, and this went on for about 20 minutes. And then to the point where he was rubbing my hands, and he was just rubbing my hands, and I could feel the pool coming from me. I could feel it pulling from my head. I could feel it pulling from my toes. Every part of my body felt like something was being pulled out of it. And man, now I'm gonna freaking cry. So when he was done, he asked me if I felt okay. And I said, yeah. And he goes, did you feel that? And I said, yeah. And he said, what did it feel like? And I said, it was pulling. And after a few minutes, I started feeling lighter and lighter and lighter. And not like, dude had slipped me something lighter. To the point where I felt completely relaxed and at ease. And my brain was there, right there, no place else. And it was phenomenal. It was amazing. And mind you, from the moment I met this guy, he was happy, he was sane, he was steady on his feet, fluid movements, like he wasn't, there was nothing scary about him. Nothing at all. And, I mean, he seemed like super cool dude and healthy and everything. And then, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes goes by and he started holding on to his stomach. Like he didn't feel good. And then I noticed he started kind of twitching a little bit, and he started rubbing his knees and his wrists and his elbows and like trying to pop his neck and trying to just get comfortable. And then I noticed him fidgeting a lot more. And then he could no longer collect his thoughts, and he started getting really, really cold. And after an hour, he asked me what I do to make my liver feel better. I had not told him about my liver. And then he said, I'll be right back. And then he came back with vapor rub. And he was rubbing it all over his hands. And then he started rubbing it onto my hands. Whoops, here comes the car. And which, mind you, my hands weren't hurting. Nothing on my body was hurting. I have not hurt, not one, whoops, sorry.